Now, to continue with our series of collections in museums and institutions around North America and Europe, we need to look at Tibet House, New York. There's a number of Tibet houses. The most famous is the one in New Delhi. Then there's New York, and then I think one of the biggest ones there is actually in Mexico City. But in New York, they have a collection of paintings. The painting collection is larger, than they have a smaller, more manageable collection of sculpture with some very, very nice pieces as well. But there's sort of looking at a kind of a curator's selection of masterworks from the holdings. We actually have 8 paintings, but we're only going to talk about the first 4 for now. And because they're all a little bit interesting in their own way. And just going numerically according to the Himalayan Art Resources numbering system, the first image is of a Buddha. And this Buddha is Ashokatam Shri, and it's one of the 8 medicine Buddhas. So nobody makes a painting of this Ashoka Buddha by himself. So therefore, this has to be part of a set. So this is going to be a most likely a 9 painting set with the 8 medicine Buddhas and then the addition of Prajnaparamita. It's possible they might add a mandala painting, but that's not all that common. Now, what's really interesting about the set is each of the figures is named, so that's how we know who the Buddha is. There's 2 at the upper right and left are 2 bodhisattva figures that are also named, and in the lower foreground are 3 of the Yaksha kings, and there's 12 Yaksha kings that are in the mandala of Medicine Buddha. And at the top we have 2 Jonangpa lamas. So this is a Jonangpa painting, so it's quite rare. So this painting has to be 17th century, central Tibet. Central also meaning Tsang province, and this is done in a Khenri style of painting. So it's really very rare, very finely done. A wonderful example of what we can call peaceful Khenri style. Often we hear about how the wrathful forms of deities done in the Khenri style are the most attractive and promoted by the 5th Dalai Lama and others. But actually the peaceful is also very, very nicely done. Now the next painting is of it's a black ground. It's a wrathful deity, and it's hard to say if it's from central Tibet or if it's more from eastern Tibet. The inscription for the Lama figure is not all that helpful, but again, most of the figures have inscriptions, although they're identifiable, they're quite well known. But the painting is very unusual just because of its size. It has a good size to it. Everything is inscribed. It's a very interesting late style of painting, and very possibly could be central, could be slightly western Tibet. Hard to tell with these more unique styles where we don't have a lot of examples or a lot of clues as to the exact location where they were created. Now, the third painting is a very large format painting. It's probably as large as you would get with a painting before you would think about doing it as a textile, and then having it more as an applique rather than heavy ink on a canvas, which you might be rolling constantly, and then the paint is going to crack and fall off. But anyway, the subject here is Dorje Setrap. Dorje Setrap is considered a worldly protector deity, wrathful in appearance, red in color, riding atop a red horse, and he's said to be the protector of Sangpu Monastery. Sangpu is just to the it's really just to the west of Lhasa, but on the south side of the river. Very important early monastery in Tibet for education purposes. When I say early, I actually mean 12th, 13th, 14th century. that kind of early. Anyway, so this painting is from, most likely it's from the Lhasa area. Because there are no real signs of it being in an Eastern Tibetan style, and there's no signs of any iconographic differences that are unique to the Kham region or to Triap or Chamdo area Gelug monasteries. So this is more likely a product of Sera Monastery, just to the northeast of Lhasa. But a very good painting, very large, very nicely executed. Now the fourth painting is just simply attractive. It's a central figure of a Buddha, long life deity, Amitayas Buddha, and then surrounding him are just repeated figures of the Amitayas Buddha. And it's hard to say. It's possible that it's on silk. What's interesting about a lot of these types of paintings is the repeated figures are often done as a child. And where I grew up, we would call them potato stamps, where you do a carving in potato and then you ink it up and then you make lots of copies on paper. You do this in grade 1 and grade 2. And so this type of work is often done with stamps, and then it's painted later. And in this case, it's gold ground. And then, of course, the central figure is painted independently. But very nice. Often these are done as a series. As you'll notice, the painting is very long in format. It's not standard at all. So it's very likely that this was done as part of a set for a temple, and then they were set up as banners in the temple, semi-permanently arranged. So that's very common, especially when you have this very long vertical composition format. There generally would be temple banners as opposed to a general scrollwork painting. This is too long. It's also done in a much more of a Chinese dimensions measurements than Tibetans would normally or typically do. So that's it. That's Tibet House, New York. They have 8 paintings that are really quite interesting and very easy to talk about. But these are the first 4. We'll leave it at that, and we'll pick up with the other 4 paintings at another time. So please press the like button. You can subscribe. You can join Har on Patreon, where you get longer videos, longer essays, and you get preferential treatment on choosing what videos we might do next. And you can also make a donation on the homepage of Himalayan Art Resources.